Hey Zwifters, welcome back to another video, and this time I'm going to be documenting my journey to taking the KOM on Strava for Repack Rush. And along the way I'm going to be giving some tips and tricks on how you can do better and improve your time on this new course. So Repack Rush was released with the 1.42 game release, and that also came with these Zwift Play controllers. And in this video I am using the Elite Steerzo, and I'm using that to steer, so I'm getting some pretty responsive steering. And so this is actually the first trial, and this first trial was more of just exploring the route and seeing what the base time was. And one of the key things to take out of this first trial is that I'm already losing time because I'm taking longer cuts because I'm trying to get those time bonuses, and in reality time bonuses are not going to help you at all on the Strava KOM, and that's what I was going for. So my goal time was to get around 2 minutes and 50 seconds to really secure that KOM for at least a few days before some of the big hitters came and it took it from me. As I continue to make my way through this course, you can see that I'm actually missing some of those speed ramps because I'm not fully on the speed ramp, and sometimes I get stuck in between like you just saw there, and that's one of the really annoying things on Repack Rush that I really do not like. So that's another mistake that I was making, but now I know that I really need to target that center of the speed ramp if I really want to get it. If I don't target that spot, the chances of me getting it are very slim. Another thing to take a look at is the speed that I have on this course. Those speed ramps make you a lot quicker, and they make a huge difference in your time. They make a bit more of a difference than having raw power would. So you can see that I'm actually putting out hardly any power, and I'm just chilling right now, putting around 80 to 90 watts, and that's around 2 to 3 watts per kilo. So that's pretty much low zone 2, zone 1 for me. So I'm taking this pretty mellow, and the goal here is not to get a good time, just to explore the route and really take a look at it before I really go for those KOMs. Now, wrapping up this trial, you can see that there is a speed ramp right before the finish there, and that's a really nice boost to get. And you can see that I come in with the time of 3:31, and that extra 15 seconds takes off 50 seconds on my Zwift time, but not on the Strava time. Moving on to trial 2, loading up Zwift for the second time, and now I know that if I can push hard and I can really put out a lot of power, I have this in the bag. So I start out with a pretty quick pace of around 180 watts, doing around 4 to 5 watts per kilo for the full duration of this route, because I know that it's only going to take me around 3 minutes, and I know that I can sustain this power for that amount of time, and my legs are also feeling pretty good. So you can see that I'm still going for time bonuses, which is another kind of a big mistake that I was making on this one. But I started to go for less and less as I made my way through the route, realizing that it's not going to help me on the Strava KOM, which is what I was ultimately going for. So I started to just relax if I didn't get them, and you can see that I did miss a speed ramp there, and that was something that I would have gone back and corrected in the final run. And you can see that I'm just really getting a feel for where I'm going to need to turn, where I'm going to need to be ready to make all these twists and turns so I can hit all the best points on this course. Right up there I missed a pretty critical moment, and that was that speed ramp at the top, and that would have gotten me a lot more speed coming into this descent, which is what I really needed. And you can see that 0.8 miles left, and I currently am doing pretty well. I hit a slowdown ramp there. It wasn't too much of a big deal, but then I missed another speed ramp, and that sort of ruined the chances of me taking the KOM on this one. But this did give me a feel for what it would be like pushing hard and still having to steer at the same time, which is something that's kind of tough in my opinion, because it's hard to balance pushing hard and steering at the same time, because you're kind of multitasking and it makes things a bit tougher. So I think having the Zwift Play controllers would have definitely amplified that and made it much easier to take the KOM. So you see that coming into this final stretch, I'm at 2 minutes 40 seconds. I already know that this has slipped away, but in reality, I knew that this wasn't going to be my last time going for it, and I did continue to miss a few more speed ramps, which was kind of annoying, and I did get that final one, though, coming into that finish, and I clocked in a time of 3:05, which is pretty decent, and put me on the board for at least top 10 on the segment, so I believe I was 8th at that point, and that was also when there weren't a whole lot of riders who were doing Repack Rush at this point, because not all the riders had the game released yet, so I kind of had an advantage at that point. Trial number 3. Now this is a bit of a short one because it ended up being a complete fail, and I'm going to show you just why that happened. So right here, I immediately started out of the gate at 300 watts, and I knew that this was my chance to go for it, and I was going to push as hard as possible, and I was going to miss almost all the time bonuses just to shave off every last second. And you can see that I narrowly avoided that slowdown ramp right there, and you can see that going around this, I didn't really know what was up ahead because it was coming up to the top of the climb, and you can't really see from there, and I didn't exactly have the course memorized yet. And you just saw there that I did rage quit and I did restart, so I am doing trial number 4 now, and this is going to end up being another relatively short trial, but I do make it a bit longer than on trial number 3. So trial number 4 started out pretty well, and I was hitting most of the places that I wanted to hit, and I did not hit that many slowdown ramps, but then I ended up hitting one slowdown ramp, and then I ended up hitting another one later on down the course, and that sort of ended for me because I knew that those slowdown ramps cause a lot of damage, and for me to get the optimal time, I couldn't be hitting any of those slowdown ramps, and that was really annoying for me because I knew that my legs were actually starting to get tired from pushing so much on this course, and I was starting to get tired of the course in general. So overall, I was a bit fatigued and I wasn't feeling the best on this course, and I knew that this might not be the chance that I have to get it, and my sight of having the KOM slowly fell to the ground as I started to ease off to 20 watts, 17 watts, and now just 23 watts. I'm literally just barely pedaling right now because I know that that was not the run that I wanted, and I need to restart if I want to have any chance at taking that KOM. Now, coming into trial 5, I knew that this was literally the max I could do. I knew that I was not going to be doing another trial after this one because I knew that this was all my legs had left in them after all of this time doing this over and over again, because doing a 3-minute all-out effort takes a toll on your legs eventually. You said there are actually some other riders on the course now that more riders are getting the game release, and you can see that I pushed pretty hard, but not to the point where I was pushing 300 like last time. My legs were fatigued, but I made sure to just keep more of a steady power rather than surging on the climbs, because if I hit all those speed ramps, I knew I wouldn't actually have to surge on the climbs. So that's another tip, is to just hold a more steady power here, because if you can get speed up on the downhill, that's actually going to help you quite a bit on the uphill. But make sure you're not going too fast that you lose control of yourself when you're heading on this course. Overall, this started out pretty well, and I was feeling pretty good at this point. I knew that 1.31 miles left, that's not a lot, and if I could hit all the speed ramps here, it would go by extremely quick. See that I boosted up to around 40 miles per hour at that point, and that was still on a flat part, so I knew that I could be hitting some pretty quick speeds on this, which is another really fun thing about this course, and one thing that I really love that could keep me coming back a few more times to try to retake the KOM, because unfortunately, Nathan Guerra, who is an extremely strong mountain biker, has taken over the KOM, and he is now ahead of me, along with 1 or 2 other riders, so I'm currently sitting in 5th, I believe, and I will be back to retake my KOM because, you know, I was one of the first KOMs. I want it back. So you can see here, this run is still going really well, and I'm hitting all the right places in this course. I'm not hitting the middle of the speed ramps. I'm hitting like literally straight on the speed ramps, so that I'm not actually like not getting the speed ramp, because you can see that earlier I would go in between the 2 speed ramps and it would just be a complete disaster because I wouldn't end up getting it. A few near misses here with those slowdown ramps, but overall I kept pretty good control over the rider on the screen, and I hit almost all of them, I believe. I think I did hit all of them, and it was overall a really good run. At that point, I was just feeling so good. 47 miles per hour, and I'm just flying down this hill right now because I know that this is the final run. 0.4 miles left. I'm starting to bring the power up a bit because I know that I am almost there, and I just have literally a few more ramps. And right here, I did hit a slowdown ramp, which was really unfortunate. I think I could have shaved off 3 more seconds if I hadn't hit that, and I had hit the speed ramp instead. So that's another thing that I want to improve on my next run. And you can see here, final stretch, 0.2 miles. I know that I have this in the bag, and it's just a matter of how much of a gap I have between myself and second place on Strava. So that was one of the things I was slightly worried about, but you can see here, just passing these two riders, and I'm coming into that final stretch, 100 feet to go, and I clock in a time of 2 minutes and 48 seconds. So that is my first ever Strava KOM on Zwift, and you can see here that I'm just scrolling through my Strava time right here, clocking a time of 2:51 on Strava, so slightly slower than the actual Zwift segment. So I did end up being a bit slower, so I would need around 2:40 to take back the KOM from Nathan, but I will be back eventually, and I can see myself doing this around the future. Is it the most fun? No. Could this be a reason why I come to just get on Zwift? Probably not, but if I am on Zwift and by chance need this, I can definitely see myself giving the KOM another go. With that, hope you enjoyed the video. Please like, subscribe, and see you all next time. Ride on.